There is a plant that has drawn human blood for 10,000 years, and in return, it has saved more lives than most people will ever know. It grows in every ditch, every neglected garden edge, every shady patch behind your garage. You have cursed it, yanked it out with gloves, maybe even kicked it as a kid and regretted it for an hour. And yet, buried inside those vicious little needles is a pharmacy so complete that Roman soldiers used to flog themselves with it on purpose just to keep warm on the march through Britain. This week, we are opening the file on Urtica dioica, the stinging nettle. A plant your grandmother boiled into soup, your great-grandmother brewed into tea, and your doctor has almost certainly never mentioned. We will look at what is actually inside those leaves, the compounds, the mechanisms, the clinical data. We will trace its use across 5,000 years of folk medicine, from Anglo-Saxon 9 herbs charms to Appalachian spring tonics. And we will have an honest conversation about where it can help, where it can hurt, and why anyone on blood pressure medication needs to pay very close attention. Have you ever brushed against a nettle and wondered what exactly just happened to your skin? Because it is not a simple scratch. It is a precision-engineered chemical injection, and the delivery system is more sophisticated than most hypodermic needles. Each stinging hair on a nettle leaf is a hollow silica tube, roughly 50 micrometers wide, with a bulbous tip that snaps off on contact like the neck of a glass ampule. The moment it breaks, the hair becomes a micro-syringe that injects a cocktail of at least 4 compounds directly under your skin: histamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, and formic acid. Think of it as nature's 4-barrel shotgun. One compound triggers inflammation, another fires up your nerve endings, a third forces your blood vessels to dilate, and the fourth adds a slow acid burn for good measure. A study published in the Annals of Botany in 2009 confirmed that the stinging mechanism also delivers leukotrienes and oxalic acid, compounds that prolong the inflammatory response well beyond the initial sting. This is not random plant defense. This is a biological alarm system with chemical redundancy. If one compound fails to deter you, the next one picks up the job. But here is the paradox that makes nettle fascinating. The very compounds that cause pain on the outside of your body appear to reduce pain when taken internally. Researchers at the University of Plymouth found that nettle leaf extract reduced TNF-alpha and IL-6, 2 of the most important inflammatory signaling molecules in your body, in laboratory conditions. The plant that makes your skin scream appears to quiet the internal screaming of inflamed joints, swollen prostates, and irritated airways. The ancient Romans had a word for this: urtication, deliberately stinging yourself with nettles to treat joint pain. They did not understand TNF-alpha, but they understood that after the burn faded, the ache in their knees faded too. Modern science is slowly catching up to what legionnaires figured out in sandals. What if I told you that a single cup of nettle tea contains more molecular tools than most over-the-counter supplements you have ever bought? Because the chemistry inside Urtica dioica is not simple, it is a layered arsenal, and each layer does something different. Start with the minerals. Nettle is one of the most mineral-dense plants in the temperate world. A 100-gram serving of blanched nettle leaves delivers roughly 481 milligrams of calcium, 1.64 milligrams of iron, 57 milligrams of magnesium, and 71 milligrams of phosphorus. For comparison, the same weight of raw spinach gives you 99 milligrams of calcium. nettle delivers almost 5 times more, and without the oxalate binding problem that makes spinach calcium largely unavailable. Think of nettle as a mineral battery, densely packed, highly bioavailable, and cheap to produce. Then there are the flavonoids, quercetin, camphorol, and rutin. Quercetin alone has been the subject of over 5,000 published studies. It acts as a natural antihistamine by stabilizing mast cells, the cells that release histamine during allergic reactions. A randomized controlled trial published in Phytotherapy Research in 2009 showed that freeze-dried nettle leaf reduced allergic rhinitis symptoms in 58% of participants, with 69% rating it better than placebo. The irony is exquisite. A plant that injects histamine through its needles contains a compound that blocks histamine inside your body. Go deeper and you find beta-sitosterol and scopoletin, two compounds that have drawn serious attention from urologists. Beta-sitosterol has been shown in multiple studies, including a Cochrane review, to improve urinary flow and reduce residual bladder volume in men with benign prostatic hyperplasia, enlarged prostate in plain language. Scopoletin acts as an antispasmodic, relaxing smooth muscle tissue in the urinary tract. Together, they function like a biological service engineer for the male plumbing system, reducing swelling, improving flow, calming spasms. And then there is the lectin called Urtica dioica agglutinin, UDA. This is a sugar-binding protein that has shown selective cytotoxicity in laboratory studies, meaning it can distinguish between certain types of cells and bind preferentially to abnormal ones. Research published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology in 2018 explored UDA's interaction with prostate cell lines. The results were preliminary, but intriguing enough to generate a wave of follow-up studies across Europe. We are not talking about a cure for anything. We are talking about a weed that contains a molecule sophisticated enough to tell cells apart. All of this from a plant most Americans treat as garbage. Every culture that lived alongside nettles figured out what to do with them, often independently, often centuries apart, and almost always correctly. The oldest known written reference comes from ancient Egypt, where nettle infusions were used to treat arthritis and lower back pain. The Ebers Papyrus, dating to roughly 1500 BCE, describes plant preparations that scholars believe included Urtica species. In 1st century Rome, Pliny the Elder wrote that nettles were used to stop nosebleeds, treat dog bites, and counter the effects of poisonous plants. Pedanius Dioscorides, the Greek physician whose De Materia Medica remained the Western world's pharmacological Bible for 1,500 years, recommended nettle seeds to stimulate desire and nettle leaves to draw out splinters. In the Anglo-Saxon tradition, nettle appears in the famous 9 herbs charm, a 10th century healing incantation preserved in the Lacnunga manuscript. It was called stitha, the stiff one, and was listed alongside mugwort, plantain, and chamomile as one of 9 sacred plants with power against poison and infection. The charm was recited while applying the herbs to wounds. Superstition? Partly. But nettle's antimicrobial properties have since been confirmed by modern assays. The ancestors were mixing magic with real medicine and getting results. In Appalachian folk tradition, nettle was a cornerstone of the spring tonic, a bitter, mineral-rich brew consumed every March and April to clean the blood after a long winter of preserved foods. The science behind this is surprisingly solid. After months of low-nutrient stored food, early settlers were often borderline deficient in iron, calcium, and vitamins A and C. Nettle, one of the first plants to emerge in spring, delivered exactly those nutrients. Grandmothers in the Smokies and the Blue Ridge did not know about bioavailable calcium, but they knew that a week of nettle tea made the family feel better. And they were right. Native American tribes across the continent used nettles in various ways. The Winnebago used nettle tea as a remedy for hives. The Ojibwe used it as a diuretic and to reduce fevers. Several Pacific Northwest tribes wove nettle fibers into fishing nets and cordage. The stems produce a fiber remarkably similar to flax, strong enough to last years in salt water. During both World Wars, Germany used nettle fiber as a substitute for cotton when imports were cut off. It was not a comfort fabric, but it held. The pattern is always the same. Wherever nettles grew, humans found a use for them. Not because of tradition, because the plant delivered results. This is the part of the episode where trust is built, or lost. Because nettle is genuinely useful, but it is not harmless. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either ignorant or selling something. First, blood pressure. Nettle has documented hypotensive effects. It can lower blood pressure. If you are on lisinopril, amlodipine, losartan, or any ACE inhibitor or ARB, adding nettle tea to your daily routine can push your blood pressure lower than intended. The result is not feeling relaxed. The result is dizziness, fainting, and in extreme cases, a dangerous drop that lands you in the emergency room. If you are already medicated for blood pressure, do not add nettle without telling your doctor. Period. Second, blood sugar. Nettle has been shown in animal studies and some preliminary human trials to lower blood glucose. If you are on metformin, glipizide, or insulin, this is not a bonus feature. This is a compounding effect that can push you into hypoglycemia, low blood sugar that causes confusion, tremors, and potentially loss of consciousness. Monitor your glucose carefully if you add nettle, and do not assume natural means mild. Third, diuretic effects. Nettle root and leaf both act as diuretics. They increase urine output. This matters if you are already on hydrochlorothiazide, furosemide, or spironolactone. Stacking a natural diuretic on top of a pharmaceutical one can cause dehydration and dangerous electrolyte imbalances, specifically potassium and sodium. Your heart needs those electrolytes at precise levels. Getting cute with diuretics is how people end up with cardiac arrhythmias. Fourth, blood thinning. Nettle contains vitamin K, a lot of it. 100 grams of fresh nettle provides roughly 498 micrograms, which is over 400% of the recommended daily intake. If you are on warfarin, this is critical. Warfarin works by opposing vitamin K. A sudden surge of vitamin K from nettle consumption can reduce warfarin's effectiveness, potentially allowing blood clots to form. This is not theoretical. It is a documented interaction, and it can be life-threatening. Fifth, pregnancy. Nettle has a long folk history as a uterine stimulant. Whether or not the evidence is strong enough to confirm this effect, the precautionary principle applies. If you are pregnant, do not consume nettle without explicit approval from your obstetrician. The risk is not worth the mineral boost. Take a prenatal vitamin instead. Sixth, lithium. Nettle's diuretic effect can reduce lithium clearance, increasing lithium levels in the blood. If you are on lithium for bipolar disorder, adding nettle can push you into lithium toxicity, a medical emergency with symptoms including severe tremor, confusion, and kidney damage. None of this means nettle is dangerous. It means nettle is powerful, and powerful things require respect. If you have made it this far and you are not on any of the medications listed above, or you have cleared it with your doctor, here is how to actually use nettle. Not vaguely, specifically. Nettle tea, dried leaf. Use 1 tablespoon of dried nettle leaf per 8-ounce cup of water. Bring the water to a full boil, 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Then pour it over the leaves and steep for 7 to 10 minutes. Strain. Drink 1 to 3 cups per day. This is the simplest, safest preparation, and the one with the most historical backing. For allergies, some practitioners recommend starting 2 to 4 weeks before pollen season begins. Consistency matters more than volume. 1 cup daily for 30 days beats 3 cups for 10. Nettle infusion, the strong version. This is different from tea. Place 1 full ounce, roughly a cup by volume, of dried nettle leaf in a quart mason jar. Fill with boiling water. Cap tightly and let sit for 4 to 8 hours, or overnight. Strain and drink throughout the day. This method extracts significantly more minerals, especially calcium, magnesium, and iron, than a quick tea steep. The taste is deep, green, and earthy. It is not delicious. It is effective. Refrigerate any portion you do not drink immediately. It spoils within about 36 hours. Nettle root extract for prostate support. Look for standardized root extracts, not leaf, with a dosage of 300 to 600 milligrams per day, split into 2 doses. Studies on benign prostatic hyperplasia typically used root preparations, not leaf. The active compounds, beta-sitosterol, scopoletin, and lectins, are concentrated in the root. If the label says nettle leaf, but you are buying it for prostate support, you have the wrong product. Fresh nettle as food. Harvest young nettle tops, the top 4 to 6 leaves, in spring before the plant flowers. Wear gloves. Blanching for 60 seconds in boiling water destroys the stinging compounds completely. After blanching, use nettles anywhere you would use spinach. Soups, pasta, omelets, pesto. The nutritional profile after blanching remains excellent. You lose some vitamin C, but retain the minerals and most flavonoids. Topical use. Joint pain. Some studies have explored the traditional practice of urtication, deliberately stinging the skin over painful joints with fresh nettle. A 2003 study published in the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine found that patients with osteoarthritic thumb pain who applied fresh nettle leaf daily for 1 week reported significantly less pain than the placebo group. This is not for everyone. It hurts. But for those willing to try it, the protocol is simple. Press a fresh nettle leaf against the affected joint once daily for 5 to 7 days. The sting fades within an hour. The pain relief, in some cases, lasts considerably longer. Stinging nettle is not a miracle. It is not a superfood. It is a plant, an exceptionally well-designed, chemically complex, historically proven plant that has been feeding and healing humans for longer than agriculture itself has existed. It grows where nothing else is wanted. It thrives on neglect. It stings anyone who touches it carelessly and rewards anyone who approaches it with knowledge and respect. Your grandmother, who made spring nettle soup, was not a scientist, but she was not wrong either. She was drawing on a chain of knowledge passed down through hands and kitchens and gardens for thousands of years. Knowledge that modern biochemistry is only now beginning to validate, compound by compound, mechanism by mechanism. But she also did not have a medicine cabinet full of prescriptions. You might. And that changes the equation. Because the same plant that lowers your blood pressure naturally can drop it dangerously low if you are already on lisinopril. The same leaves that deliver 500 micrograms of vitamin K can undermine the warfarin, keeping a blood clot from reaching your brain. Everything is poison. Everything is medicine. The dose makes the difference.